Former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno, who's still with us. Joe, one of the most striking things is not just this recognition there was quid pro quo, but also widening the net in terms of who knew what. Let me just play you another clip of Mr. Sondland, Ambassador Sondland.
And even as late as September 24th of this year, Secretary Pompeo was directing Kurt Volker to speak with Mr. Giuliani. In a WhatsApp message, Kurt Volker told me in part, spoke with Rudy per guidance from S. S is the State Department's official designator for the Secretary.
So widening the circle of those who are in the know, how significant is that? Or is it that we should be focusing on the fact that he confirmed a quid pro quo?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, Christian used the word devastating in the lead-in, and normally I'm not one for hyperbole, but I would agree with that word. It was a devastating day. The last few days, not so bad for the president. But today, Ambassador Sondland really did make that connection, right? He gave first-hand testimony as to, one, what he was being told by President Trump, and two, what he was communicating to the Ukrainians about the expectation of what they would deliver in exchange for at least a White House visit, secondly, perhaps the military aid. So very, very bad day for the White House. I mean, in terms of where do we go from here? I mean, that's the next question, really.
So where do we go from here? Articles of impeachment all but certain now?
I mean, I can't imagine now, at this point, it doesn't go to impeachment. And as far as the defense of the president, basically saying there was no quid pro quo at this point would be useless. I mean, I think we're way past that. So now I think there's basically two possible defenses. One, it was a quid pro quo, but it wasn't corrupt, right? It was a legitimate, at least in the president's mind, inquiry into corruption, and that's okay. And whether you believe that or not, that's a different question. Second one is, you know what? It was bad, it was inappropriate, but it doesn't rise to the level of impeachment. Basically, the Bill Clinton defense. I think you're going to hear one or both of those, kind of combination of those two defenses, but basically the Republicans are now boxed in pretty badly.
And Joe, you know, the people we've heard from in the last 2 days, I mean, they've not just thrown Rudy Giuliani under the bus, they've driven over him and reversed again. I mean, today Sondland said, you know, we didn't like the fact Rudy Giuliani was involved in this, but we dealt with the hand that we had in front of us. And I just wonder what this means for him, because there are already prosecutors looking into the background of Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, the ambassador certainly did not carry any water for the White House or Mayor Giuliani today in his testimony. He held nothing back. And I have to think that, you know, both the mayor as well as the other individuals that you mentioned all have to be thinking about not just now what is the collective defense for the president, but what's their personal exposure. I mean, if they knew about something untoward, did they have an obligation to stop it, to speak out, to resign? I think all of those questions must be high on their minds right now, and I'm sure they're all getting lawyers here in Washington as we speak.
Joe Moreno, thanks for bringing us up to speed on what we've been hearing.